Hi, I have chosen the ascetic life as my case study for this project. An ascetic life is a lifestyle characterized by the pursuit of spiritual goals and abstinence from pleasure. Hedonism is the theory that the only thing that is intrinsically good for us is happiness or pleasure, and the only thing that is intrinsically bad for us is pain. It seems like J.S. Mill wouldn't approve of an ascetic life since it seems to be in stark contrast to hedonism. In order to justify an ascetic life, Mill might say that the person living an ascetic life was denying physical pleasures in favor of attitudinal pleasures, because food, sex, and community could all be defined as physical pleasures. Spiritual well-being and closeness with God would be the higher pleasures of the soul. A response to hedonism asks whether happiness is all that matters, but a hedonist could argue that in the case of the ascetic life, the monk is denying one happiness for another. A hedonist could conclude that an ascetic life is valuable because it brings the monk or nun deep attitudinal pleasures to grow closer to God. Desire satisfaction theory states that the only thing that is valuable to us, or intrinsically valuable to us, is the satisfaction of our desires. An ascetic life seems like it would be justified as a good life with desire theory, and it seems like Chris Heathwood would approve. Desire theory is a form of subjectivism. Only the monk can determine whether his life is good. Only he can know what his desires are and if they are satisfied. If his desire is to deny himself physical pleasures and he achieves that, then his desires are satisfied and he has lived a good life. Desire theory allows for a variety of good lives and grants personal authority, so Heathwood could conclude that the ascetic life is a good life based on desire theory. If something satisfies a desire, then it is guaranteed to be beneficial. The problem with this theory, desire theory, is that no one desire is intrinsically better than any others. So if the person fasting desires food, but their deeper desire is spiritual closeness with God, one desire is satisfied and another is not. He could just as easily conclude that the monk did not live a good life because he had desires that weren't satisfied. Objective theory is the theory that some things are good for us, whether we want them or not. An objective theorist like Wolff would argue that what directly contributes to a good life is at least partially independent of your desires and your opinions about what is important. On the one hand, you could use objective theory to argue the value of an ascetic life if you could determine that spiritual well-being was most important and more important than physical well-being. I don't know who gets to determine that, and that is one of the problems with objective theory. Wolff might just as easily argue that an ascetic life is not a good life because even if the monk wants to abstain from food in favor of his spiritual well-being, food and proper amount of exercise was good for him. It doesn't matter what he wants most. If he doesn't get what is good for him, then it is not a good life, according to objective theory. I struggled to decide what theory offered the best response to the case. Surprisingly, I think that hedonism does, even though I initially didn't think so. I think that differentiating between attitudinal pleasures and physical pleasures is a way to justify the ascetic life as a good life. And I think that this shows hedonism to be more viable than I had thought. I think that it being a bit well, it is subjective. And I think, I don't know, I think that offered the best response to the case. I think desire theory offers an unsatisfactory response to the case because no desires are intrinsically better than the others. An ascetic life is one that is chosen on purpose. So in some sense, it is led by desire, but it is undeniably sacrificing some desires for others. And since there isn't one that is, since desire theory doesn't determine that some desires are better than others, I think that shows that desire theory isn't a viable theory, at least in this case. I also, yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, that's it.